Hello and welcome to Hardcast, where we resurrect evil personified in order to get back at our dad. I'm Humphrey Erm.
And I'm Christian Claus.
Lifeline. Give me Shadowman and the Times.
Oh my god, there's no Shadowman volume something.
Yeah, no, I mean, this isn't part of that series. But, to be a bit of a liar in that sense, depending on you. Did you read that original Exo Manowar pitch?
No.
Okay, then...
Actually, yes, I did. Sorry.
No, it's fine.
I just said no because I don't want to talk about it.
You didn't like it?
No, it was just... Because the way that you kind of made it out to... You made it out to be like this amazing insight into...
Robert Venditti?
Yeah, but just also like the pitch process and stuff like that. And it's like, no, this is just a... This is not anything different than what like everyone already knows. It's just basically a summary. It's basically just a summary, and this is the kind of thing that you write before you write the script, kind of, you know.
Yeah.
So it wasn't anything special. I don't actually think that it's something that we really need to talk about, because it was basically just him explaining what he wants to do with the series and just telling a little bit about like how he sees the series. I bet this is the kind of stuff that actually every writer should write before they start something.
All right, then. I mean, I agree. I didn't mean to hype it up like that. I just assumed you were going to read it, so you would have like a quick, it would fit in very well with the previous episode.
Yeah.
So I was kind of like, oh yeah, just, because for me, was the main thing that I thought was interesting there was just the fact that it would have been more of a piece of technology. The idea that it wasn't so much that it was like a sacred item, but more like, oh crap, it's got all our like data.
Yeah.
Oh god, you're going to see all our porn.
Yeah. We didn't delete the browser history.
Exactly. So that kind of thing I thought was kind of interesting. That definitely made a huge change in terms of how the thing felt, as well as then how other things later on kind of get brought up. I mean, Armor Hunters doesn't seem like it would make sense if it was a Vine-made thing. That was just,
Yeah, exactly.
Again,
I think that's what's so good about... I mean, that's what's so interesting about these kind of summaries, or these kind of... what do you call them? I can't think of the name. It's something with C.
Concept?
Yeah, no, it's not a concept. It's like outline. Sorry, that's what it is. Not with C.
Outline?
An outline.
It started with C, you said.
No, I said not with C. Now anymore. But anyway, so it's basically just an outline, and I think that's why so many companies want to have writers write an outline first before they get down to script writing, because they want to see if this is the kind of take that they like. And that's why I think it was really interesting to see that he had this whole technology thing in it that was like a very important part of just this duality of the technology, and then Eric being a Visigoth. That was interesting to see that it was a concept right away at the beginning. And I think that's also why he got the job, because I'm pretty sure that they had a lot of different artists and writers giving their take on what they would want to do with Exo Manowar.
Yeah, no, but that's what I mean too. That's part of what I find with this particularly interesting. Like, I wouldn't care too much about, for example, Matt Kint has taken over writing duties on the new Exo Manowar series.
Okay.
So, and as much as I'm curious about that series, I'm not so curious. I mean, he's working from someone else. Like from what someone else has already done. But I really love it when we have something like this where you're really like, there's no wrong answers. You know what I mean? Like, there's nothing established. Like, you have the original series, but it's a reboot, so you can do whatever you want. It's like the reason why I love the what's called Avatar: The Last Airbender art book a lot better than the Legend of Korra one. Because as much fun as the Korra one is, it's still like, okay, well, the art style was decided from the first series.
Yeah, of course.
But with the Last Airbender book, especially for season 1, it's like, wow. Like, wow, look at it. Like, it could have looked any which way. It's just more interesting there because it's like, you don't have all the rules set up yet. I mean, it was going to be like steampunky in the beginning and stuff. It's like, oh man, it's interesting. And I also just like the idea, like, honestly, I'd just love to be like fly on the wall in this room when they're all like basically pitching to each other. And like, also the whole idea of, let's see where to say. I just want to see, because and it also kind of fits in, could segue into the actual book too, because they mentioned Master Dark.
Yes, it did. because he had the knowledge of all the things that he's amassed over the times.
Yeah, here we go. Yeah, here we go.
And then if he would get into contact with the Man-O-War suit, like what could he do with that knowledge?
Exactly. But I just love this whole thing here. For example, the franchise overview. It's just like franchise overview. And I don't know, I just would love to hear how they all were discussing amongst themselves. Like, well, I was thinking this with Harbinger. So yeah, well,
yeah, exactly. That's probably what they do. They have to not only come up with a story that they want to tell, they have to also come up with stories that they can tell with other characters as well. It's kind of like a TV show when you're pitching it. You're not just pitching one episode, you're pitching a series. So you're going to be asked like, okay, well, what's episode 2? What's episode 10? What's episode 22? What's episode 300? That kind of thing, where you kind of have to realize where people, like how you get further and what the stories are. Otherwise, it would just be a one-shot or a movie in the case of TV or something. Yeah.
Exactly.
But yeah, let's get back into Shadowman. I just realized when you said, just Shadowman End Times, I realized this wasn't the next volume. It was just a volume by itself. It's a standalone thing.
Yeah, it's a miniseries.
A 3-issue miniseries. Yeah. Which explains my confusion at the beginning.
Oh, well, why don't you mention that?
I'm already destroying your order of your questions before we even start.
No, it's fine because I don't have many. Because I don't know. Do you mind if I just give my sort of overall take first?
Yeah, go for it.
This is one of the few times reading Valiant where it felt like a drag.
Wow, because I loved it.
Really, this is like the worst thing I've ever read from Valiant.
I'm kidding. I just want to be because every time you hate something, I love it, and yes,
okay. Again, I would love to hear how you could spin it.
Yeah. Well, you're right. I mean, it wasn't the best. I kind of wanted a little bit more from Shadowman. I think he's such a great character. Well, let's say okay.
Concept.
Jack Boniface is not a great character. The concept is amazing.
Well, like we said, it's a CW show. I mean, it could have been.
It is. And yeah, so it's your turn to speak first.
No, I mean, that was pretty much it.
Why was this a drag?
I did not care. And not in the sense of, I mean, as you know me, I like Valiant, I like comics. So unless I'm like in a really bad mood already, I'll no. But
when are you ever in a bad mood?
Oh, you'll know. No, but exactly that kind of thing. It's so reading this and not getting enjoyment and not liking it. Again, few things here and there that kind of work in of itself, like as their own instances.
Okay.
I mean, like some core concept, like the whole, we already knew the father was alive from the cliffhanger from the last volume. But I don't know, it was awkward. It felt very awkward reading it. It wasn't pleasant, and not in terms of like an uncomfortableness, like if it was like a sordid subject material or something.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh no, this is very difficult to read. It's like, I'm reading, I'm seeing things happening, people saying stuff, but it doesn't feel like it all builds up to a whole. I'm just having trouble like articulating it sometimes here with because I don't know, it was just a very, I was going to say upsetting, but no, it's not upsetting.
Yeah.
But I did not have fun reading this at all.
Yeah, I mean, welcome to how my feeling is reading most comics. But it's just, it is weird because I also was very meh about the whole thing. There was no point where I was just like, "Ooh, this is like getting really good now," or "Oh yeah, I can't wait until he confronts his father," or anything like that. For me, it was just more like, "Oh wait, his father is not dead? Okay, all right, well, okay." And then his whole like, like breaking Elisa's heart and all that kind of stuff. It's just like, okay, this is like it's a CW. It's this whole thing where it's like, don't communicate.
It's all the worst parts of CW.
Yeah, it's the worst part of CW. And I don't know. I just felt like, maybe they were just trying to finish it quickly.
I think so.
Like it was just this thing where like, okay, we need to finish Shadowman quickly. Let's just do a 3-issue miniseries, and then call it quits.
So yeah, but I wrote that down as a point though. This is the last we'll see of Shadowman for quite some time, like throughout all the different books.
All right.
So we will see one. We will revisit the Dead Side in another book.
Mm-hmm.
So, but nothing like Shadowman himself is not going to be present for a very long time. Now, how does that make you feel? Like, assuming I didn't spoil you, basically. but assuming, like, okay, this is it, and you're not going to see him for a while. Like, you're not going to see him at all. Are you disappointed then for like overall Valiant, or for Shadowman itself, or not a big loss for you?
Well, I mean, come on. Honestly, we have so much material to go with. I mean, these things can drop off like flies, but they would just be flies. I mean, there's so many more that I can, sustain myself until he comes back. You know what I mean?
Mm.
I mean, it's not like, maybe it would be different if this was like one of my favorite characters, and they just ended it with this. But then again, that's just how it happens. And I mean, I don't have any attachment to any of these characters. I mean, maybe Eternal Warrior. I mean, I feel it is a shame that there's so little of him, his own comic that we're reading. But, that's just how it is. I mean, I'm an Aquaman fan. I've gotten used to this. So I know that no one loves my favorite characters, and I've come to peace with that.
Okay, no, I get you. But, still they insist on having an Aquaman book, because, well, he's tradition.
Yeah, exactly. Awesome. No, but like with Shadowman, I mean, I don't think it's a real loss. I mean, they ended it kind of weirdly, I feel.
Well, definitely set something up.
Oh, yeah, definitely. But again, a lot of the whole, like, going back and forth between them, just talking about, like, oh, no, I did this for, your mother and you. And it's like, no, you didn't. Punch, punch, punch. And then it's like, but what did you do to Alicia? That was different. It's like, no, it wasn't. And then punch, punch, punch. And it's just like, okay, guys, come on.
So you're both pretty.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know. And then just resurrecting Dark was also just kind of like, Jesus Christ, okay. I mean, what? Valiant where dead is dead?
Well, I mean, for him, it's, that's...
Yeah, okay. If you're going to start making excuses, then we can start making excuses for all the others, too.
So, yeah, no, I agree. But still, at least here it's not... I mean, the problem people have is things like, Aunt May getting resurrected because of a deal with the devil.
Yeah, of course. I understand that. But, I mean, come on.
Yeah, but...
Is this the first death, like, actual, like, big character death that I've experienced in Valiant? Because I can't remember any other... Well, like Dax, I guess. Or Dox, whatever his name is. But still, I mean, it's just like, this is like, they wanted him back for something, and then they have to start making excuses like, well, I mean, someone as powerful as him is never truly dead. And then, I mean, I don't know. That felt a little bit like a cop-out. I mean, I thought, well, come on, bring a different, guy or someone who has the same power set, basically. I don't know.
No, I get that. That's fair, especially as as you said, Valiant, where dead is dead, and then except for when it isn't. But I feel exactly. I feel it works in this case. I mean, obviously you already have those issues if you have characters who, like the moment the concept of death can be like manipulated, or like in terms of seeing or talking or. Visiting in that set. Oh, people go to the dead side and we can visit it. Oh, okay. Well, then immediately the concept has, I'm not going to say cheapened in and of itself, but like we're living by very different rules then.
Exactly. And I mean, I don't know. There were a lot of concepts in this that I thought were really cool, but then they just kind of, it just dropped. I mean, like that whole compass thing.
Like, what was the point of that? Because it was so quick.
Yeah, what was the point of that? He just stuck something into his hand, and then we never saw it again. We didn't see how it was leading to him. So I was thinking, like, wait, so the thing is just stuck in his hand? So then how does it lead him anywhere? So basically it's always showing to the ground if he's holding his hand, like, with his palm up? Like, what is that deal? And then already in the next page, you don't even see it anymore. He's just holding his hand down and just walking towards his dad. It's just like... What? Why didn't he just say go 20 yards east? some shit like that. This would be the same thing.
Well,
I don't know.
Well, no, but I agree. It almost feels like, have you ever played like games sometimes where in order to kind of gamify some more stuff, they give you a kind of like just a busy work task, to get to the next story point or something?
What do you mean?
I can't think of a good example right now from a game, but I've had sometimes in games where we could have easily just done this thing, like, gone to the next like story point.
Mm-hmm.
But but before you do that, you have to go and, pick up these power charges to power up the thing that takes us to the place.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. Yeah, okay.
And it kind of had this feeling here where it like, because as you said, yeah, this could be an interesting thing. Like maybe it lets him take control over him or something, or, something else.
Yeah. Oh, you mean so maybe it's like a seed planted for a later thing?
Maybe. Obviously not for this. And I think it's a bit of a, I wouldn't say it's unfair because it's very clear he's doing it. But
yeah, right? I mean, it's kind of weird to do it also at the end of something where you think this is the last we're ever going to see from them.
Exactly. And I've done like this, I'm not sure if you can do this on yours, but on my Surface PDF reader, I can like kind of like see like all the pages as like a layout.
Yeah.
And it's very unimaginative, the panels here I'm seeing like on this.
Oh, yeah. I'm scrolling up and down. Oh, my God, yeah.
I mean, again, nothing wrong with that. Like if you take like Watchmen, for example, they always follow this like 3x3 or like this 3x3 9-panel grid.
Yeah.
So, it's not like there's something bad about having a consistency or something like that. But I mean, okay, we're here. Like, I can't find him. You know where he is. Well, let's do this. Okay, walking. Oh, there he is. And he's just standing there. It's like there's no.
Yeah. I mean, if I'm looking through like the last couple of pages, they're all horizontal lines. Like from like page 77 almost, or actually no, 78. Like 5 pages are just horizontal lines, horizontal panels.
And again, that's
it just doesn't feel right.
Well, it just doesn't give you a lot of versatility. Like
it also makes it feel very static, but I guess can we say that it kind of maybe has to do with like the location, that would we give them the benefit of the doubt to be like, well, maybe they were trying to convey some sort of feeling with the panel layout?
I mean, it could very well be. I mean, in a sense, the story is very slow paced. This helps give that feeling
of like, or maybe uniformity of just like this idea of like, them being in this magical world that they have no control over or something. I don't know. I can't interpret art. I don't know.
No, I mean, that could very, I mean, you can bullshit anything, of course,
Oh, yeah.
I remember doing that
you
my
wrote
art.
your papers in BIS.
Yeah, I was just going to say that, I did that with my art teacher there. So, where she basically said like, very nice, but still you have to do this other thing. Or like, even though I had like a super awesome like explanation for why I did something poorly.
Yeah, exactly. Oh man, I remember you loved art class at school.
So looking back, I did like, it kind of shows you guys how bad art classes I've had though. Because it wasn't until I came to here, let's call it in the animation workshop and the drawing academy, where it's like, oh, holy shit, here we actually learn to draw.
Right. I mean, who knows? Maybe, it's amazing to think that you went through all that, shitty teachers and people who were just
no
pushing
offense
down
to the
you
teachers.
and you still emerged an animator.
Yeah.
So kudos for that, man. And now you're working technically kind of for.
So, well,
kudos.
I'm not sure if you should bleep that because I'm unsure about the whole, like what we're allowed to say. It's weird.
All right, I'll bleep it then. I'll bleep it.
It'll be fun for the listener. They'll wonder what it's all about.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, just looking at the stuff here, I don't know, it's just very, it's kind of like the whole thing you've always brought up, the whole Pope in the pool or something.
Yeah, Pope in the pool.
Because, there's a lot of dialogue here, a lot of things to explain. And except for a few like flashbacks we get, or is it flashbacks if they're talking about it and it's shown, or?
Yeah, I just recently had that problem. I was writing a script and I was kind of wondering how you explain that while someone's talking and then it flashes back to kind of show it.
Exactly. Like, is that,
but for my case, it wasn't flashing back. It was flashing kind of like around the same time. You know how like in The Office when they're doing the talking head thing, and then in the middle they kind of show someone doing something, or they show like some reaction shots of whatever they're talking about. I was looking all over the internet to how do you write that, because it's not an insert. It's not do I have to write like an extra scene and then just kind of anyway, I mean, we're going further, but I couldn't find the word for this, and I think we're kind of looking for that word too, because it's just an insert, but I guess it is a flashback in this case.
Yeah, I mean, again,
you are flashing back.
I mean, for us in our case, it doesn't matter. It was just something I thought of when I saw it. Now that wait, he's describing something. It's just we're showing it visually,
right?
But anyways, but besides that, and then cutting to Alyssa and Punk Mambo, it's just talking heads, you know, and some mid shots, and it's, I don't know. I'm looking here and I'm not seeing a progression. Like when I'm having all the pages laid out here, I'm not seeing a progression really. I mean, you know, we get a big and pretty nice, you know, final splash page. You know, even if it's kind of simple, it's kind of like, okay, that's definitely gives a punch when I'm seeing all the pages laid out. Yeah. And I think that's also looking here. What's called? They all have borders. Like everything is bordered. Like nothing bleeds into the page. Wow. And again,
it's amazing. I mean, there are so many shots that could have been bled. Like, I mean, page 82. I mean, this whole thing could have been a bleed. The whole page could have been that color. Yeah. It's just that monotone bluish color. The whole page could have been that. But they just, I mean, and that would have been even better to just kind of have, just take out the panels completely and just have these 4 panels on top of each other without any borders, just to give this sense of just mystery and everything being foggy and kind of melding together.
Exactly.
I mean, it's so weird.
Though it does.
I mean, now that you're mentioning it, I mean, because I didn't really like. I don't notice this stuff by myself, but now that you're mentioning, I'm going through everything. I'm looking at it and go like, wow, they are very consistent with their panel layout.
And again, that can work very well. Like I said, you know, I mean, people praise Watchmen all the time. And they're even more, I'd say, because they always follow that, like, setup.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Watchmen, I think, is a little bit different because it always has that 9 grid.
And it also plays with it. Like, it figures out, like...
It feels intentional. And that is the big difference, because this does not feel intentional.
Yes, feels sort of standard, or like not first draft maybe, but just kind of like, this works. I mean, the story is told.
Exactly. And I mean, that's the kind of problem that I had when I was writing my first comic, like actual like superhero comic that I tried out a couple of years ago. I didn't know how to lay out the panels because I had no idea how to just, I didn't understand how what kind of panels you create for what kind of feeling. And so, I mean, I would sketch the panels like on a piece of paper while I was writing the script, and then kind of describe them in the script. But most of the time I would just see like, well, it's much easier just to say at the beginning, like, okay, this page is cut up in 5 panels and they're arranged basically like boxes, you know, kind of something like that, you know. It's much easier. And I don't know if this was written by or layouted by someone who hasn't had a lot of experience with panel layout. Actually, there is one bleed. I just scrolled onto it.
Oh, which one? Besides this whole like splash page?
Yeah, one panelless panel, or one borderless panel.
Oh, 92?
Page 18. Page 18.
Oh, 18, okay, because I saw 92 also had a borderless one.
Okay.
Except for... or is it? It's kind of hard to tell. Because it's...
18?
Yeah, no, the other one I was mentioning.
Well, 18 is borderless, I mean, completely.
Oh, yeah, but that's nice, though. I mean, that page looks fine, you know, on its own.
Yeah.
You know, we get an establishing 14, shot there. You know, it's nice.
And page 14 also with the double spread, that's also a really nice panel layout.
I remember actually liking this one a lot. This is a beautiful, right, I've totally forgot about... I mean...
but also the police officer, what the fuck?
I was just going to say that.
He has like the weird... I mean, I'm hoping this has to do with like his dream thing. That is like a dream where
think so.
The officer gets... Because who the fuck says to a kid, you're all alone now, all alone in the whole wide world?
Again, it has to be.
Dick.
I mean, the way it's all portrayed. But I was actually thinking of having that as the thing I say in the beginning. So, but then I thought like that was just more to yeah. Well, not that it matters.
Yeah.
So yeah, but exactly. So we can see that they know, like the artist at least. Then I mean, it's hard to know always who figured out what. Collaborations, but I mean, this is a beautiful. Because it took a while for me to get to that feeling I had, like that I was started off with in terms of just like not liking it at all. Because it's been a little while since we read some Shadowman, so kind of like okay, right, this okay, right, it's that, a lot, like that stuff. It's so cute, even though it's like really, I feel it's very, I don't know, like the whole little banter between Jack and Alyssa. I don't know. Maybe it's just because I'm what's called so lonely, but so I'm like lash out at any other happiness I see. So I guess I don't know. It doesn't feel. It felt very artificial.
Yeah, I did notice there was this on one of the pages when she slaps him.
27.
27? No, that's not the.
Oh, not that slap.
Oh no, yeah, it is that slap. It was just I was going through the thumbnails on the side when I was scrolling up and down, and I thought it was like, oh, that's actually really clever. They created the slap, the SLPP, in a form that looks like a broken heart.
Oh.
But then I looked at the actual the actual page, and it does not look like that at all. It just looks like it from far away. It actually does look like a broken heart.
Yeah, no, you're right. From like afar as a thumbnail, yes, very.
Right? I thought that would have been so smart, kind of like to make it look like a heart. But then I don't think it was intentional, because they would have had to make it more clear. It's just something that happened with the thumbnail that was actually just perfect. It looks so good.
Yeah, no, I'll agree with that. But the thing is, now that I'm looking also like this, because I was at the end of the volume when I was describing about the panel stuff.
Yeah.
But the first issue is a lot better than it becomes later.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, as I'm scrolling through here, like there's a lot more variance in color. I mean, there's a lot of scene changes, but
yeah,
it's
and they do a lot more stuff with that whole, like when he's smelling that glue stuff.
Exactly.
They really nicely make that like green fog kind of panel borders and stuff like that, and here they have again two bleeding, not like big bleeding, but somewhat bleeding panels on page 31. So maybe you weren't all that correct.
Again, it seems.
But you're right. Volume issue 1 was better. Yeah, like from a panel layout way.
Again, yes, it feels like that overall, I guess, in general. But then right with issue 2, we get into the horizontals.
Yeah.
And maybe it was like a sort of deadline thing, maybe having trouble. Because, oh man, I'm just scrolling. I'm kind of scrolling side to side. I have basically two.
Dude, but all we can do is just say that this is what we think. I mean, we can't.
Oh yeah, I don't mean this.
We can't actually say that this was. I mean, who knows? We don't know what happened, and we can't really discuss that. All we can say is how it made us feel, and
Yeah, no, I mean honestly,
we've said that.
Yeah, no, but honestly, if the Valentine the Landro and Livesay, I don't know. So the artists. So if you were to listen to this, I don't mean to as but as an artist to another. I don't mean it as like, oh, you're awful.
Really? Would you call yourself an artist?
I say so.
I'm kidding.
No, but it's definitely not awful or anything. I don't know the story behind. I know full well. Yes, all the kind of obstacles that can come in while creating something. And honestly, it feels like that.
Yeah.
And it honestly feels like that based on, again, the shift in quality I feel between issue 1 and issue 2.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, it's... I mean, it's fine. No beef with the you guys or anything. I hope you guys keep getting work and all that.
Yeah, and if you are actually listening to us, hit us up. We might want to do an interview. Because obviously no one from Valiant is listening to this.
Oh, who knows? So, but if you want, you can have like a whole time, like I can show you some of my like work, and you can like Yes, tear that a new one. Like, how the hell could you, say something about me when, about my work? And I don't know. It's,
jeez.
all right, but we kind of again not. I mean, it was all relevant. It's not like other times we've gone totally out of left field. But I had this one question here, or not question, but more of a actually not a question, but more of a question. Since they've kind of now after this now here, like with what's called Jack killing his father, Dark's back, and seemingly in control of Shadowman in some sense, or at least that he sort of answers to him now. How would you bring him back? How would you bring Shadowman back from this? Like, I mean, like if
do you want me to? What do you want me to write the next story or something, or what's going on here?
Yeah, no. I don't, not just on the spot here to come up with that. But is there anything you feel that if you wanted to like bring him back to like the Valiant universe, like what do you feel could be a way to do that? Just from what we've read here and in relation to the other like stories we're reading. Is there anything?
Obviously, what's going to happen is someone is going to have to go to the dead side. And then we're going to meet Dark sitting on a throne, and then next to him with a chain collar on around his neck will be Shadowman sitting there like a lapdog that he is.
So, yeah, that's pretty cool.
No, of course not. I mean,
not very PC. He's black and stuff.
No, but what makes you think that Dark or that Shadowman is under Dark's control?
I guess you're right. It's not really. I guess feels very implied just from the last few pages. Yes, kind of.
I don't think it is implied though, because I mean, he just killed his dad, and then Dark shows up, and he's mourning. He's like in shock or whatever. He probably has finally lost that anger that he had. The one that he was talking about in the entire book.
Yeah, but
he now finally has this anger, so he can control the Loa.
Yeah, but
and now he's
I will remake you. I can even show you how to control your Loa. And all you have to do in return is serve me.
Yeah, but see, that's what I mean. He's not already under his control.
Yeah, but he feels.
No, but this is the typical thing. The thing that I've always told you. The cut before the quick thing before commercial break. It's the I'm pregnant.
Yeah. Cut
to commercial. It's the same thing. They do it so often in this shit. It's just so annoying because it's just like, you have to be under my control. And then, when we come back, it's going to be fucking Shadowman just going, no. And then it's over. It's always the same thing. Always.
Well, maybe the next, then when the return of Shadowman, it's going to be right a few seconds after that last page.
Yeah.
No.
No. And then he runs off and then the actual story starts.
Which honestly probably won't be a good idea considering that the setup and stuff they have had apparently hasn't worked.
Exactly.
Because that would imply things go back to normal, and it's normal wasn't good sales-wise.
No, but I mean, they're probably going to do something where, Shadowman becomes Dark's pupil, and then Shadowman becomes pretty strong, and he controls the Loa, and then he actually uses it to either escape from or defeat Dark. But then we're going to find out that him escaping was all part of Dark's plan anyway, in order to revive this huge dead monster thing that then can take over the world for him, and all this kind of weird shit that's probably going to happen. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So that's kind of what I'm thinking of, is that he'll make Shadowman stronger. Shadowman will escape, but it was all Dark's plan. And then somehow this extra power, Shadowman's going to think that now he can finally take on Dark. He just needs to train a little bit more, find his girlfriend and rekindle their love and everything. And then they're going to find out that love actually makes him stronger than Dark ever thought he could be. And then, he comes back and starts fighting Dark, but then it was all part of Dark's plan. And now he's resurrected this huge monster that's going to take on Shadowman. He can never defeat him, and then he defeats him with the power of love. Actually, no, that's probably not what's going to happen.
Well, I don't know either, everything's...
Oh, you don't know either, yeah.
Well, I know some stuff. So based on the other, that other book we're going to read later, So, but yeah, like I said, it's basically dropped off. And and actually bringing that up, is it a good thing then that Shadowman hasn't really been so like melded with the other like properties? I mean, besides a very few nods here and there, like very few.
Well, I mean, the great thing with Shadowman is just that because he exists in this other dimension, it's very easy to just remove him from the universe without other people kind of, going to look for him, Because if it's just like with Thor. I mean, if he's not around, you're just like, well, he's in Asgard. You know what I mean?
Well, you also have to write them out of the story if they don't.
Yeah, exactly. Or, you just send him off planet like they did with Hulk. It's this kind of stuff like, everyone would just probably assume like, well, he's probably in the dead world or the underworld or whatever, it was, dead side. And he's probably doing his shit. And if he needs something, he'll come for us. That's what they would say if they had integrated him more into the other characters.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, imagine if like Exo Manowar was the failing one.
God, yeah.
Oh crap! No one seems to care. They like everything else, but not the guy we started this whole universe with.
Yeah,
and he's the one who like crashed into the Colosseum.
They would have done something big with him. They would have done something bigger than the Shadowman end times. They would have done the whole, Exo Manowar end times, where he sacrifices himself for the good of America and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and actually, he would be pretty easy in a sense because since his power comes from the suit.
Yeah, and then they give it to Livewire.
Yeah, or someone else, like that's kind of the whole, like okay, people didn't like
that
this.
guy
Let's
from the
try
video
something
game,
else.
the American Exo Manowar.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, and like I said, it was not like a fun read, all of this. But yeah, I really don't have that much more to bring up. I mean,
No, it's fine. We can do a short episode. I mean, if it wasn't a good comic, or a good read, there's no point in prolonging it.
Yeah, I mean, like, do you have anything else you'd like to bring up? I mean, we definitely talked more than I had planned. I'm glad we kind of started discussing the panel stuff because that was, I like that stuff as well as, it was definitely worth a mention.
I do want to just mention the whole, the lighting that they use in this comic. I think I mentioned it before, so I'm not going to go into too much detail on this. I mean, I mentioned, I think, in the last Shadowman as well, is that the lighting gets really confusing for, like, who characters are, I feel. And the thing is, this is, I think, the only comic that actually does it. I don't remember any of the other ones having this kind of very distinct coloring, like tint to the panels. And I gotta say, I mean, Jack is supposed to be black, right?
Well, biracial, but yeah, he should be black enough that people call him black, I guess.
Yeah, but I mean, it's just, he looks so white. I mean, I didn't even recognize him at the beginning. I mean, that's what I was saying at the beginning, that I was confused because I had no idea who these two people were that were moving in together. Because Alicia had her hair up. Jack looks like a white dude. And I'm just like, wait, who are these people? And then obviously I started to understand, okay, these are these people. But yeah, I mean, especially when they're moving between like scenes and have these different colors, it's always very disorienting to kind of know who's who. And as we've mentioned this before, so I'm, again, not going to talk much about it, but the costumes really help in these kind of things, or very distinct looks, because all these artists draw them differently. So again, when I started the comic, I had to first realize, okay, wait, who is this character? What do they look like? Are they, how does this guy draw them now? I mean, at the beginning, if you just look at the pictures, I mean, you had Shadowman and this woman, Helena, that could have been, Alicia, as far as I know. I mean, maybe this person just decided to draw that person with shorter hair or something. I don't know. But yeah, it's very confusing. I mean, it looks good. That's the thing. It looks amazing, and I know why they do it with these colors. But it can get really confusing if you don't know the art or the how this artist draws these characters. And do you think something like that could be avoided if you create like you know how they do in like mangas, they have like a character, like a character section at the beginning where they have like the faces of all the characters that are in the comic. I actually like those because I mean, obviously in this one, in manga, it's not that bad because there's usually one artist doing all of it. But, you know, with this, I think I would kind of, you know, gain something if at the beginning, instead of like our story so far, that could be a part of it. But instead of like one big picture, it could just be all the small pictures of like how this artist draws these characters. Especially in a comic where you don't have, you know, superhero costumes as much. I mean, you have one superhero costume.
No,
but yeah, that's all I have to say about this comic. I'm looking forward to whatever the next one is. Sad to see Shadowman go. I did like Shadowman, like the concept. But maybe he'll be better later when he returns, when he comes back from the dead side.
Well, again, we had 2 really good, first volumes, I feel. I mean, I'm not sure what happened, like, during that. Because I felt like, yeah, it's good flow. You know, it's some new villain for the 3rd volume, but then it became an anthology. And, yeah, then just this other stuff that didn't feel as interesting for the 4th volume. And then this kind of wrap up. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens next with him.
Indeed.
So, but yeah. That was the 32nd episode of Hardcast, detailing Shadowman End Times. For more content from me and Chris, follow us on Twitter at Humphrey_Aram and at Christian D. Claus. You can subscribe to us on iTunes or listen to us directly on valianthardcast.podbean.com. And remember to like us on facebook.com/valianthardcast. Catch us later for our next episode, discussing Harbinger Volume 5, Death